Hello guys, welcome to Frequency and FX Trading channel. Yeah, and in today's video, what I want to do is basically talk about a strategy, and the strategy we're going to be working on is on the step index, the step 200 index, and this is to help beginner traders understand how to trade professionally, more professionally. And we've been doing a lot of things aside from trading lately, and that is a mentoring program. We've been teaching students how to use the computer and also how to use this graphic designing websites and softwares, and how you can use it for some other activities on the internet. But in today's video, what I'll be doing is basically teaching a strategy you can use on daily basis, a quick money making scheme strategy you can just use to actualize your profits. How you do this is basically with a strategy I call the XABC pattern and the cipher, and you're gonna measure it up with the head and shoulder strategy. And yeah, after we're done with that, we use the long and short positions to get those pips on. Yes, and this is a video on an asset called the Step 200 index, and this is Step 200 index actually. And what you should know about Step 200 index is basically that it does what we call Step 200 index is is a very high volatile pair that you know one pips from Step 200 index equals $1, no 20 equals 20 cents, and that's the use. That's the way you tell what the asset is. One peep equals to 20 cents, two peeps 40 cents, and everything is calculated on a biasful phase of times 2.0 on every pips you use. Lot size, the minimum lot size is zero point 0.1, is zero point 0.1, and the zero point 0.1 gives you a pips of 0 point 0.2 trade, and that's why the name for the pair is step 200 index, step 200 index. And guys, as you can see, this is the 4 hour time frame, and that is where we're going to be starting this strategy video from. This video is all the way from the 4 hour, and we're gonna do top down analysis video that explains in depth what the strategy talks about. And top down analysis is basically a way you get to understanding that the market um, is always having a bigger face, right? There's a bigger side of the market that makes it, you know, more trending, more patient oriented. If you can be very patient with the uptrends and the downtrends, all the way from the bigger time frame, you get to understand that the market always comes from the big time frame. And I have clients that DM me. Uh, my South African client said to me he wants to manage his account. So what I said to him was that managing of accounts is something I do personally. I do account management. We help you to manage your accounts, and that's because if you traded it yourself, there's probability that you lose focus, and after losing focus, you get distracted on things that you do. But if we manage your account, um, you need to understand that you need to give your account manager time, space, and all of those space he needs to manage accounts. He needs to manage his accounts, and he needs to do it in his way, because you being around can cause an irrationality and make some decisions that is emotionally based. You base your emotions, you base your strategies, you base your analysis on emotions. It's very very bad. So you don't do that. This I drew this line to show you something. We manage accounts, and yet this is head and shoulder pattern that I just drew here. I'll show you in a clearer view. You see this head and shoulder strategy that step 200 index gave. Now, after it gave the head and shoulder strategy, it was moving in a very straight trend, and this is the 4 hour time frame. But then, if there are traders that would like to trade, if there are traders that would like to trade, um, so if there are traders that would like to trade the um, head and shoulder patterns, there are criterials, there are protocols required. It's not all about it's not all about so guys, this is to tell you that a strategy that goes on space, a strategy that goes with space momentum, it gives you something, it ranges and then it moves straight. So head and shoulder is a strategy that you can use in trading the market, and the way you can do that is by drawing the pattern at first. Secondly, doing your calculations. If you were going to be using a strategy like the cipher is a strategy that comes with percentage. The cipher strategy gives you an X, A, B, and a C and a D. And after you draw that, you use your entry to mark out where you want to get your take profit from. That's the cipher for you. So this is the cipher strategy, and we added the head and shoulder to this pattern. Now the head and shoulder gives you a 1:10, and the cipher tells you the market is about to stop ranging. So guys, I'm going to be explaining in depth how to use this strategy and why it works, right? So the next subtopic is why cipher, CHYPHER, and head and shoulder strategy works. Why these two strategy works? Well, they work because they are their their pattern, their waves. You always see them anytime the market creates a a you know a corner junction. The market moves like a car that goes. This is like a car. A car goes straight, it goes and it keeps going. But when a car is about to reverse, it goes backward, right? And when it goes backward, the momentum of the car decreases. It goes decreased in momentum and then it reverses. Head and shoulder is a strategy that does something. Head and shoulder is a strategy that shows a reversal. Head and shoulder is a strategy that reverses your trend for you. Now, when head and shoulder is about to play out, it represents the momentum of the market that tells you something is about to change. So it's not just in this market as a place. Remember that the market is a reciprocation of everything that happens in real life. The market represents real life events. When the market shows forth, the real life is reciprocated, and this real life event that shows up in markets is something that happens all the time. It happens because the market is moved or driven by people's psychology. The market is driven by people's money. The trend is also driven by the fact that people's money is invested. And that is why markets will always represent both what we do in the physical world as well as what happens inside of life. So the market does this, and the reason this works is because it always happens in human nature. It works because we as human beings, we we do it, right? And the pattern is always in our nature, in our formation. In anything we do, we always see the head and shoulder pattern comes in play. But when we include cipher, well, let's say this is the pattern I just drew, and over here we're going to see head and shoulder come in place. A car is my perfect example for this. A car also represents the psychology of a human being, because without the psychology of a human being, you never see a car operate, right? The reason a car operates is because human psychology is the controller of the key, functions of a car. Well, you might have watched so many videos on the internet that told you head and shoulder only comes in a pattern. And head and shoulder is a basic pattern that works in and outside of life. So everybody uses it. And it doesn't always have to come in the form you see it drawn on screen. Something like this, like this, like this, like this, and like this, like this. Because this is how you always find the head and shoulder um, pattern drawn everywhere you go. YouTube, you find them drawing it like this, but this is not always how this pattern looks like. The pattern is also in form of M's and W's in shapes. This, for instance, is an head and shoulder strategy, but then another name for head and shoulder is cipher. Why you include cipher strategy is basically because you are percentage calculating what you think the market does. Now, a car with its wheel and everything requires percentages to grow in momentum or to fall in the momentum. The car needs percentage. You need some instructions on how this car is being moved before you use it. Now, the car moves like it does, but without percentage, without moving this car in a certain direction, even when you control the wheel, it does not move, right? It doesn't move. So you need to always use percentages when you are identifying head and shoulder strategies. So these percentages are basically something you do all the time. When you see an head and shoulder strategy, it represents a momentum. And in the chart, it can happen anytime. But when it happens, you can always tell that it is happening because it is moving and it is about to go in a different direction. This, for instance, represents an head and shoulder strategy, but you need to add the cipher strategy to it in order for it to work. So it works like head and shoulder, number one, and then cipher, number two. Cipher is like the wheel when you get access to the car, when you're trying to do something to it. Cipher is like the cipher is percentage. Percentage works with Fibonacci. Fibonacci is the tool you use in calculating the cipher. But then the cipher tool used in calculating it has all of these percentages written underneath it, right? Cipher 2 has all of the percentages written underneath. You see the cipher, right? This is the percentage 0.797 is already there. The X to A gives you 0.709. The A to B gives you 1.042. And the B to C gives you 0.83. And the C to D gives you 1.395. And that's because the other time when you see it, right? If I used Fibonacci to calculate this, drawing the Fibonacci from X to A, you see that the calculation was accurate, right? The 0.79, this is the 0.79 in the Fibonacci. The calculation on the cipher is accurate because after seeing the percentage in my cipher strategy 2, I used my Fibonacci to draw out the percentage, and you see it correlates. This is 0.786 equals to 0.79 approximately. Now if I also calculated my A to B, if I calculated my A to B point, you would see my A to B also meets this criteria 0.83 Fibonacci level. You would see it on the screen. However, we do not have the 0.83, so probably the 0.786 is a way out. You see, it is perfectly meeting up to 0.86, and that is the percentage that you see on the cipher strategy. And the Fibonacci also proves this to be true. If I wanted to see my B to C, it's the D, right? You see on the screen it is 1.395. I would use my Fibonacci tool, and after drawing, I would see that now my 1.395 is here. So if I did not see, what I want to do is go all the way to here and just add my 1395 to it, 1.395, 395 percentage, and that's a okay. You see it? After adding my 1.395 Fibonacci, you see the cipher strategy got himself appropriated at that point. So that is cipher strategy for you. Now, this is actually explaining why cipher strategy um, correlated with Eden shoulder works, right? Did I ask you to look at my screen, boy? So that's my cipher strategy, and head and shoulder points meeting each other at their given space. So we say cipher strategy applied to the Fibonacci works 100 percentage because you always can tell it is going to happen. And what are the percentages? Now, the next subtopic I'm going to be talking about is what are the percentages for cipher strategy. What are the percentages? Percentages for cipher slash head and shoulder strategy. What are the percentages for cipher slash head and shoulder strategy? That's the next subtopic we're talking about. Now, if we were looking for the percentages, well, I'll tell you, starting from the fact that head and shoulder represents trend change, cipher strategy gives percentage. The percentage is x to a equals, it's a mathematical formula here, x to a equals 0.86. If you are familiar with a mathematical topic called the modulus, see, you know about the x to a's, 867, and then a to b, a to b, a to b equals 0.685 all the way to 0.865, and then b to c equals, after note, after doing this I'll show you a realistic explanation on the screen, and you get to understand how to calculate this. And b to c equals 0.5, I'm sorry about the slash, 0.5 all the way to the 0.77. So I'll tell you what this means. 77. Then the C to D, C all the way to D equals there 0.77 all the way to the 161 percentage. I just put percentage on top of it so you see it. It's all about percentages. Percentages, if you are a mathematical student, you learn percentages in school, right? Percentages is something they teach you, you always have ideas about. If you are a mathematical So C to D gives you all this. Now, the realistic part of this is drawing the cipher strategy. Like, if you want to get the perfect, you know, if you wanted to get a perfect, the perfect ratio for what you're doing, you need to understand that you need to be certain with the fact that all these patterns are going to get to the perfect spot before you have a an entry. Let's say 0.65 is the x to a. X to a, yes, this is the perfect point. When you see a cipher strategy, all these percentages ought to be met. Otherwise, you do not have a strategy. So from A to B equals C. Let me edit this. And A to B equals C gives you. So let's say I wanted to write here. Say A to B equals C. X to A equals B. A to B equals C, and B to C equals D, right? And C to D equals D. Yeah. So X to A equals B, and the B is 0.85. So A to B is my next calculation. That's going to give us the C, right? Has to be A to B has to be all the way from 0.685. Go and sit down. Who's standing up like that? A to B needs to equals A to B equals 0.685 to 0.865. A to B equals 0. Now that is like from 685, right? From 685, we went all the way to 865. So the percentage varies. The percentage varies, right? 865. If you add your percentage at 0.685 all the way to 0.865, it is still valid. Yeah, and that's what you have here. So we were looking for the C to D. We're just looking for the B C. That's going to give us a D, right? You can either have it on. You can either have it on a 0.55 all the way to 0.77 percentage, or 0.77 percentage to 161 percentage. And that is what I have here in my naturally drawn Fibonacci. Level 161.8 is what we have here. That gives us the D. So 1.61.8. That is the D. So this is the percentage of the. So what are the percentages? This subtopic is basically the explanation of the percentages for cipher and head and shoulder. So when you see this percentage, you can tell that it's about to be a very sure reversal. After I gave a strategy on gold on SAU USD, I saw SAU USD and it gave me a cipher pattern, but then I traded it and it gave me a win trade, and I showed you guys the pattern worked. So all of my strategies was basically this. I calculated X to A and A to B and B to C. After I calculated this, I showed you guys the signal. In fact, I told you guys to trade it with me, right? I posted the video immediately and asked you guys to trade it. Now that strategy went in serious profit. In fact, gold is seriously buying, and that's because I saw the strategy. And the strategy came in form of the cipher pattern. After I identified it, I knew there was going to be a reversal. I saw cipher pattern play. I made my analysis from the monthly time frame with the gold, and from the monthly time frame, I went all the way to the weekly, and all the way to the weekly, I went all the way to the daily, and from the daily, I saw something that gave me an entry in a day, on a week. Sorry, with a week candle on the 4 hour time frame. So these are the percentages for the cipher and head and shoulder strategy. Now, the next subtopic would be, how do I trade it? How do do I trade the cipher, the CHYPHER strategy forward slash the head and shoulder strategy? How do I trade it? So what you want to do, if you wanted to trade it, I'll just take this off the screen so you see what to do. So this is what to do if you want to trade. If you want to trade Cypher and even show but the first thing you want to do is make sure you have a good trading psychology. The market has been a winner for a long time. The market always wins, and something you do when you put your money in is rather devalue your money or gives it a value. Not like somebody is taking it. Your money was invested, right? The chart represents the value of your money after you invested it. It's like getting a BTC and telling a BTC, I invested this amount of money in you, and after that, I invested this amount of money in you. What you're going to do for me is go. After putting your money in the BTC rises in value or falls in value. If it rises in value, your money increases in value. But if it falls in value, your money falls in value. So what happens is basically that you have been working with the chart. The chart rather gives your value the money, takes it away. Otherwise, it increases the value or falls in value instantly. So you want to know how to trade this. Don't always devalue your money. Sometimes we think it is until we put our money in the forex market that is when our market gets the value. That is when our money gets the value. No, you devalue your money yourself without knowing. When you put your money in the market and you cannot wait, you cannot patiently wait, you fucked up, right? You are going to lose everything. You need to be patient. Your life is all about patience. Without patience, you can't do anything. So if you wanted to trade these values, the first thing you need to do is be patient. You need to always do a top-down analysis. I'll write this down for reference sakes. I would write this on the screen so you see it. Do always do a top-down analysis. Do a top-down analysis. Top-down analysis. A top-down analysis is basically a terminology that tells you to start an analysis from a bigger time frame and go all the way to the smaller time frame. Top-down analysis is something you do. You start at higher and then you're going down. Top-down analysis. You're analyzing from a bigger time frame. Patience number two. Patience number two. Without patience, you might not be able to do top-down analysis. Number two. So you need to do a top-down analysis and you need to wait for the patterns to come into play before you do anything about it. You need to be patient if you wanted your pattern to come to play. So the third step is to wait. WAIT. WAIT is wait. Wait. Please wait. When you want to take a trade, you need to learn that you have to wait. The patient is waiting, but waiting is important than patient because if you do not wait, you might not have patience. So don't trade at all. Stop always devaluing your money by entering random stupid trades when you did not see anything. You were waiting for a cipher strategy, but for some reasons you want to buy a Lamborghini Benz the next day. You didn't have anything to buy a Lamborghini Benz if you did not make money. And you cannot make money free. You cannot make free money. You need to work for the money you're making. If you go out there and see how people work very, very hard to make money, then you would understand that even you have a 1 million naira, you are seriously rich. I have traders who see a 1 million naira like 10,000 naira. They think it's nothing, they think it's just paper. It's not just paper. People are working death sentence just so they can make a fraction of the money you have. You need to wait, right? If you have a 1 million naira in your trading account, leave it there for now. Stop always trying to do something with the money. right? If you wanted to make money, you need to first understand the psychology of people when they work money out and know that the market represents hardly how people are making money out there, how people are making money out there. People are working very hard to make money, and so you need to understand that you also cannot make it that easily unless you work as hard as they do. And the market also represents their brains. People spend days, sometimes months, sometimes weeks in order to make 100,000 naira. And if you have 1 million naira, you've covered up the stress of 500 days. You do not have to work as hard as the people who make 10,000 naira per month to get there. You have 7 years covered insurance of no work if you have 1 million naira. People are making just 10,000 naira per month from their workspaces. Having 1 million naira is like working 7 years to get that accomplished. So stop always being in a haste. You need to be patient. You need to work with somebody. You need to work like you have a future. You need to work. You need to start planning your life. In the nearest future, I'm going to get married, right? And that's because I'm trying to settle. I'm trying to settle down. I'm not trying to buy a Lamborghini Benz in the next 2 days, right? If I'm going to get married, that's because I'm trying to settle. Not everybody's thinking about marriage. I know friends, I know people who, when you ask them about forex trading lifestyle, they think it's about making $1 million in 6 months. That's crazy. It's possible to make 1 million naira, $1 million from forex trading in 6 months. I mean, it only took me 7 months to have made my first $1 million from forex trading. It took me 7 months. I followed a strategy religiously, and had I had made $1 million after religiously following that strategy for good 7 months. I gathered up myself, discovered I made $25 million in 1 year. I was able to make $25 million in 1 year. But trust me, the percentage of my money was increased because I was not trading with the random lot sizes. I was managing accounts for people, and my strategy, my signals, when I place it on a trade, a rich man who was having $200 million in his bank account was also trading it. So all of us were trading our. I was trading. I was giving signals out, and people were following the same signals, and we were cashing out big. So the accounts of 200 million doubled up. It became $400 million. The account of $10 million doubled up, became 200 million. One single trade gave us all the money. So it took time. Now, if I wasn't patient, I might have never made it to this point. And that is the subtopic for how to trade cipher strategy. It is not always about the strategy, it's about your patience. I've emphasized so much on trading psychology videos and told you why you need to be patient in order to make money in this market. If you are not patient, you might never be able to make money from this market. You're going to discover that you keep losing money over and over and over and over and over again, and you're going to get frustrated. I was live when I saw a client broke his computer. He raised it up, he broke it, he smashed it to the ground. He had a phone, he threw it to the wall, everything got smashed. I had to give him a space. I asked him, bro, why did you do this? He told me he just lended $10,000 to trade, and he thought he was going to cash out the next 3 days. He was trading, he had a strategy. He forgot he was supposed to use a strategy. I told him I could have been a mentor. He said he didn't need a mentor. And what he did was recklessly trading. Traded recklessly and recklessly. He blew away $10,000. I had to make my research about how much $10,000 was in my currency and discovered the money was a lot of money. And this guy got into serious debt. After 2 months, the guy got arrested, right? He couldn't pay his debt, and he lost everything, 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 everything. He got arrested. He couldn't pay his debt. $10,000. Let me say 10,000 times 1,600. This is 100,000, 160 million naira. The guy blew 160 million naira in the range of 10 weeks. Sorry, in the range of no, I don't need that. Those. No, no, you're distracting me, please. He blew 10,000, he blew 160 million naira in 30 minutes or lesser because he was trying at first. He came in with the 10K, with the $10,000. He told me, bro, I'm trying to trade with this money. And I was like, yeah, I can help you out. I can give you strategies. I need you to be focused. And I told them, you have $10,000. Take out a million. Take out $1,000 from it. Flex. Flex with the money. Let the fact that you're flexing make you comfortable. Flex with 1.6 million naira. The flexing you're gonna have with 1,600,000 naira is gonna help you focus, get life started, right? And it said no, it said I know a trader who does this and that. It didn't buy signals, it said it could do it all alone because it thought everybody who was making that money was doing it ordinarily. Less did he know that I had times with myself, right? If I wanted to make if I when I made this is how I started out as a forex trader. I explained my story to him. When I became a forex trader, one thing I loved about myself was that I always had value for money. When I got my first $1,000, I was so happy, right? I was given $5,000 to start out trading. I took out $1,000 in it, and guess what I did with it? I flexed life to the max. 1.6 million naira was enough for me to shut down a whole country. What did I do? I put my strategy down. My strategy was something I was going to look out for. And the money, I knew I had to take $1,000 from it because if I did not withdraw $1,000 but spend it on trading, I would recklessly trade. I would trade like I want to make the same amount of money in the next minute. Because when you look at your $5,000 in the MetaTrader 5 chart, all you see on the MetaTrader 5 is the money. You see 5,000. 5,000 is not enough money. Even if it was 1 million, it still looks like a joke. So, but if it wasn't a cash, if it was but the fact that you came into the market with the money, you're looking like you want to double up instantly. So it's not all about doubling up. It's all about managing risk. 1 million naira, 1.6 million naira. I had girls, right? If you are a male, if you're a young star, you're looking for a trading experience, you get 1 million naira. There's a lot of things you can do with 1 million naira, right? You can lodge in hotels, have girlfriends, squander on alcohol. Now, I met a celebrity while I was spending 1,600,000. And we had times of our life together. We drank the most expensive type of drinks. We went to the most luxurious types of bars. And our drinks, 10,000 naira worth of drinks was enough to getting ourselves up. Everybody wants to be our friend. We were making friends and we were teaching people how to trade forex. We had people coming with $10 capital, and now we told them we are also forex traders and we are actually waiting for a strategy, but we are out here to flex with 1,600,000 there. And I discovered I was rising in I was rising in value. Celebrities were becoming my friends. I met famous Pluto. Nah, we got inspired from the fact that if it was just 1,000,006, now if the money was too much, we were going to spend it in the locks. We were going to finish it up in a day, right? 1.6 million naira. We were supposed to spend it till we made another 1.6 million naira. Then we discovered it was just 3 days. It was a 3 days gap. We were still we already spent 300,000 naira out of the 1.6 million naira. So we're having 1.3 million naira. And so the strategy we were waiting for came. And after trading, we made $5,000 profit. That was another banger we did. From a $5,000 profit, we took out another 1.6 million naira and another 1.6 million naira. We withdrew $2,000 that particular day. We had the locks of our lives. The money was too much. We made this money in a day. Now, the strategy played the next day. We had all our trades. We had all our trades. on, and the strategy played in the next day. And the next day, the money was too much to be spent, and so we took it to the loss. We started spending beyond. We were spending 100,000 naira per drinks. This was really luxurious, and we were able to gain value for our money. All of the things we did that day, the money was so much. It was it was 5.2 million naira. We already spent 2 million already, and we were satisfied, deadly satisfied. In an hotel room and everything. So after all of this luxury we had, it was like, okay, bro, in a 5 million naira, we still have trades to take. And 1 week, we didn't have any trade. So we still have about 3.2 million in our bank account. And we were like, okay, we already had all this luxury. And all the people we spent money to became our friends. So we didn't have to spend more money anywhere anymore. All the girls we had, they already became our friends, and they were coming around. They were cooking foods for us. And people were coming around. It was a lot of money, and we maintained 1 million naira. We spent 1 million naira in 2 months. We still had 2 million naira somewhere. We adventured to Burkina Faso. Getting to Burkina Faso, all the French girls were speaking French. We had people translating for us, and we tried minimizing how much money we were spending. We were spending 500,000 naira in a week. We had all of this calculated. It was luxurious. All of this was just so we can make money and be in our right senses, and just so we can get our psychology right. And so we did not go into the market and blow all the capital we have. We were able to spend 1 million naira after 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, another strategy played out. We made another $10,000 strategy. Bro, we flew out of the country. We told them goodbye. We danced and everybody appreciated. We came back to Nigeria. We are in Nigeria currently, and you know what we're doing? Spending the smallest. Strategy is yet to be played out. We are spending 500 naira per day, living the brokest, just so we gain value for our money. When we get a strategy played out, we recently had a gold trade played out that made us about $15,000 plus, and we are having people DMing us, telling us to come into countries, and we've not replied to them. A South African told me, "Hey, come, we have everything set for you." Canada, bro, we got a client telling us to come all the way to Australia to have fun in our life. And then we discover we're going to be spending in dollars. So spending in dollars in Australia could get us drained in in a week. So we're looking for countries to go to. However, what all this was said was so you can understand what you can do with your money. Don't come into the market and lose your money and break your laptops, and use your money and get value for yourself. Spend money on the things you like that would keep your brain set up. Plan how much you're spending, plan a strategy, let your strategy play out before you take a trade. And your money can help you focus on other things in life. Other things in life. The money can help you focus on other things in life that is gonna make you not a dumbass. You're not gonna be trading and you've forgotten that you lost everything. So this is how to trade. This particular strategy is a strategy you can work with. Work with this strategy, and this is when I end the video. Right. So all this luxury we spoke about, so you can understand how to do these things, how to trade right, and trade the proper way. Stop always risking funds on inaccurate things. Stick to a strategy, trade it, and make sure you're spending according to your financial status. Thank you for watching. This is Frequency in FX Trading Channel. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe, like the video, share it, comment, and tell me what you want me to do to you. There is a phone number underneath the screen where you message us on WhatsApp. We give you a Telegram channel to go to if you wanted a signal that is accurate 98% shit. Be with us when we analyze trades and patiently trade the strategy we teach you. follow, subscribe to us. And we're on Instagram, but we're not telling you our Instagram pages yet. We have all of those pictures, all of those luxurious lifetimes we have. And that is what we're doing. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye for now. Frequency.